ballots to a safer place because there are people who might try to interdict the things.
Oh, no, that's Washington Post with a straight face. Oh, that's going to be secret, what each precinct votes, and it's going to go to a secret area now for your safety because the hackers threatened. Sure they did. Another false flag. Do you smell a giant stinking rat?
Absolutely. But they're trying to get away with it, and it'll be interesting to see what...
They are such a group of crooks, such a group of corrupt blobs, such filth, such criminals, such scum, Bob. And people can't believe...
I hope they're listening.
Yeah, no, they are. These are... folks, later, more stuff's going to come out, not just government drug dealing and money laundering and killing and white slavery and torture. You've been fighting these people 50 years, Bob. Undoubtedly, it's gotten worse because, you know, there's this paradigm in corruption, as you know, that the most corrupt in any group will then lead the pack. And then the next most corrupt will then double down. And so evil always intensifies. That's the thing. What's your take on that statement?
It's perfect. And that means that we can never, ever stop. Even if we get Ron Paul elected and reverse all kinds of laws over the next 8 to 9 years, we still have to be vigilant every single second of the day because we've seen what's happened in history. You know, you let your guard down and you duck soup.
Well said. Anything else you'd like to add? The caller from...
Yeah, Alex, I'm the one that called and told you about Obama's birth certificate. I guess that was half right. You know, he had one, but I heard he was going to release on the Super Bowl. The same people were telling me that they told me this from July. But their projections, from the internal White House projections, are that it's going to be a broken primary for the Republican Party. If you guys could speak on that, they think that Ron Paul has enough delegates. He's not going to win, but nobody else will. Is that a victory? And could you comment more on that?
Well, the Republicans are getting everybody ready for a brokered. Because, you know, the Paulites, as the establishment dinosaur liars call them, are going to be there at the delegate level. But you did call a few months before and said they're going to release the birth certificate in a big stunt. And then it didn't happen when you said it happened, but it did happen as a big stunt. So I appreciate that information. What's your take on a broker convention, Bob Chapman?
Possible, but there's going to be an awful lot of irate people. And for our side, it's going to accomplish nothing, which means that Ron Paul is going to have to run on another ticket. He's got to run on some ticket.
Well, I agree. You know, he's been trying to, on the surface, say he probably won't run third party, but the door's open. He has to just to inject real issues. Let's go ahead now and talk to Mark and then Barbara and others. Mark, you're on the air from Texas. Go ahead.
Taking my call. I've been trying to get online for years. I got 2 quick points that kind of freaked me out yesterday. The first day this week you had Lindsey Williams on. I went to go find the speech myself, and I also, like you were saying, I went to go check on ammunition, non-perishables, and all of a sudden, about an hour later, I had a knock on my door, and it was an AT&T person. It was kind of weird because I tried to get AT&T, that cable, UVerse, a while back ago and got denied for it. So I was like, okay, that's not a big deal. Don't need it anyway. But then all of a sudden this guy popped up, and he was an AT&T supposedly guy. He had a paper badge, and immediately I looked because he was trying to ask my wife questions, and I looked at his badge to make sure he was legit. It was a paper badge, like something you could print off in your house. Said it expired on the 31st of this month. And he had, I was just very observant, just from listening to your show. I was trying to watch everything he was doing. He had a packet, and his packet was split up into different regions, and it had everybody's information. And immediately it went to my head. I was like, I wonder if these are people who listen to Alex Jones, and they're, there's some kind of way they know. And he was asking, he knew how many people were in my house, how many TVs we had. And it was crazy. And the one thing that gave him away was the fact that when he called back to his central location, he was speaking in military terms. So he was saying Echo and Romeo instead of saying
Well, sometimes they do that, but listen, listen, you can just type in phone company spying on people, cable company. They now get them all organized and have them realtors. All the time, police get called if you have reloading equipment. If there's plates in your thing, you wonder why the CPS comes and takes your kids. And you bring in service people into your house. That's why it's good to go with small companies or good old boys you know. And they are literal government spies. They're trying to turn America into the Soviet Union, basically. Again, this is a conscious, totally wicked agenda. And they've got all the service clerks spying on you, and the rental car people, and the hotel people, and they get off on it. They get off on spying on you and treating you like you're a crook because they work for narcotics trafficking, money laundering, child kidnapping murderers. The government is run by pure evil at the top, and they're turning everyone into their little Renfield servants. And so how did this creepy story end, Mark?
He after a while, he called in and he had this fake badge number, and he got kind of nervous because his badge number wouldn't work when he was calling in. So I just played along with the game and tried to order the service with him to see if he could actually get the service turned on in my house. He started fumbling over his words. It's kind of like he already knew that I had tried this before and it didn't work, and he knew he was going to get...
Well, there's another thing that could be happening. There's a lot of general criminals posing as service people as well, and he could have been casing you out, but I appreciate your call. So how did it end?
He finally caught wind. We got to talking, and I actually started talking about your show and talking about, how things are going on in the world. It kind of freaked him out, and he kind of hurried up, tried to end his...
I was about to say, sometimes they're agents or sub-minions, and they want you to know their government like it's going to intimidate you. And as soon as you let them know you're not afraid, they hate it. They literally drink the fear. Appreciate your call. Bob Chapman, your take on this.
I think we can trace this back to the end of the demarcation between East and West Germany, and Marcus Wolf being invited to the United States along with the people who worked in Stasi to tell you how they control people. They had the most sophisticated operation in the Soviet Union. And so this is where all of these kinds of ideas came from and how they were refined and then passed on to the United States government.
But more importantly, and I agree with you, it's about a chilling effect where they want you to know they'll arrest you for no reason. They want you to know they're spying. Good, you little crooks. Good, I'm glad you're scum. I don't have anything to hide, you filth. You do. And that's the attitude. They're doing this to create a chilling effect. Barbara in Texas, listening on 1630 AM out of Dallas, KKGM. Go ahead, Barbara, you're on the air.
Hi, Alex. I'm an old woman, but I've been getting woke up by the Southwest Radio Church in Oklahoma for 65 years.
Oh, I've been a guest on that. They're great people.
Yes, and what I wanted to know was... where it can get a radio log of you. And then what they said on Southwest Radio today was that now the law has been put in place that our military can sodomize and they can do bestiality stuff.
Yeah. By the way, I didn't read the whole NDAA. It was thousands of pages, but I scanned over the sections that I saw Ron Paul talking about and stuff and read it. And I heard it's got bestiality in it. And I was like, come on. And I went and pulled it up, Control-F'd on the computer, for keyword search, bestiality. And it says the military can take pigs, cows, whatever they want, right into the barracks. Guys, pull in NDAA legalizes bestiality. You cannot make this up. I mean, it's always, that's what I mean. No, it says they're now going to have pigs on base and goats and stuff. I mean, who can, it said the troops now, like, instead of, just showing two women kissing on the cover of a magazine, they're not going to be met by, a cow or something when you get off the ship. Bob Chapman, your take on that? I'm not kidding.
It doesn't get any weirder than that. I'm telling you. That is unbelievable.
And by the way, as for Radio Log, ma'am, we probably should have every show available on DVD or something for sale, but we just never did it. All the archives are online, saved. And if you can get friends and family that are savvy on computers, I'm not very savvy, they can download it and put it on disk or whatever for you. But by radio log, what specifically do you mean?
I want to know what stations I can find you on when I go across the country.
Oh, you're talking about an affiliate list. Yes, that's it. GCNlive.com. Thank you so much. God bless you. Yeah, there's Texas GOP Vote is talking about it. Texas senators vote to legalize sex with animals, the National Defense Authorization Act. So they found a Texas article. Just type in NDAA bestiality. You'll get like AP Reuters. Yo, Bob, who can make this up?
It is beyond anything I ever thought would happen. I knew of the rampant pedophilia that had gone on for the last 100 years that was recordable, but bringing animals into the act is I don't know what's behind that.
I shouldn't laugh, but pretty soon you'll get arrested like in Europe if you criticize groups. You'll go to a party or you'll go out and there'll be someone there like with their monkey or their pig dressed up, and there'll be wedding services. No, I'm not kidding. Their group's calling for that, Bob.
Oh my gosh.
Somebody shows up, get married to their donkey. I mean, what? There's no end to this. Oh man. Oh, okay, I shouldn't. All right. We'll be right back with more of your calls straight ahead, and then we've got we're fourth hour we're doing today. And if your local AM and FM doesn't cover it, it'll be on the audio streams at Infowars.com. But this is Key coming up with Gary Franchi and Max Keiser. Yeah, this hadn't been a big media issue, but I have seen it in the news, and during the break I looked it up. At White House press briefing, reporter asked if Obama approves of bestiality because it's in the new National Defense Authorization Act. And here's the report. The two Texas senators voted for it. I mean, well, you can't be politically incorrect. Here's the Indiana Express News reporting SPCA reports alleged bestiality with dogs. Well, you're being beastophobic. You're just not open-minded. Okay, this is unbelievable. Yeah, Senate defense bill removes military ban on sodomy and bestiality. That's off LifeSite. Here's a Washington Post article about it, and they report it like it's kind of cool. You know, hey, this is trendy. When I talk about trendiness, folks, that they sell. It's not trendy to like Ron Paul. He's a kook. It's not trendy to be into freedom. Hey, look at these guys. They don't want troops on the streets. They're crazy. Meanwhile, a couple of years ago, they're crazy. They think we want to put troops on the streets. Now we are, but they're still crazy. And the general public just kind of buys into all this stuff, those that aren't awake. We've got Gary Franchi coming up here. I'm going to do a special year-end top 10 news stories from our perspective, not on the nightly news, and a lot more. Ray McGovern's joining us, but we do have a whole other hour coming up as we talk about Ron Paul and a bunch of other issues I haven't gotten to yet. But I want to go back to the calls in this little short segment, the next with Bob Chapman before he's got to leave us. But let's go ahead and go to some more calls here. But I mean, just briefly going back to this, Bob, more and more I feel like I'm in a Twilight Zone episode. Don't you feel like that?
I really do, and it's things I never expected. I didn't think that kind of agenda would be important, but the way they've shaped this whole thing, it's the total disruption. Now, you brought it up earlier with the acceptance of homosexuality and to keep the birth rate down and things like that. So it figures if you're not doing it human to human, maybe you should go off and do things with animals. And so I guess it does conform to today's thinking in their part. But I would have never thought that they would get into that.
Well, all I can say is that things are definitely going insane. Robert in Texas, you're on the air with extremists who think that the military should not have pigs on board aircraft carriers for the captain's pleasure. Robert, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Well, I guess I'm one of those extremists, too. I'll try to make this quick.
Yeah, when you see a squirrel in a tree, you don't get excited. You are a bad person.
or watch Animal Planet in the middle of the night by yourself with a box of tissues. Anyway,
okay, let's stop. I shouldn't have gone there. I'm sorry. Go ahead, sir.
I'm sorry. My fault. Okay. Anyway, real quick, the Mark Levin show got blitzed by Ron Paul supporters last night. The video is up on funkmaster5.com or the YouTube channel Funkmaster5.
Who got blitzed?
Great. The Mark Levin show. And it was one caller, and then 2 callers later, another caller called in and just pummeled him with facts and information. He tried to call the fact that Ron Paul has the most military support out of all the candidates a myth. And after the first caller called in, I called in myself